Why, hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Welcome to another one of Big Red's Rants and Ramblings. And happy 420 day to you. Today is April the 20th. So if you, the person who partakes, happy 420 day to you. Me personally, I don't partake. But I think it should be decriminalized. And I think it should be legal. And let me go into details of why I think this. First off, let me say that back in high school, I did a report on marijuana, and I got an A+ paper on it. So let me tell you a few things that I found out while doing that research back in high school, many moons and sunrises ago. Up until, I want to say, and I can't remember exact dates. I mean, I've been out of high school since 1991. So I'm gonna have to refresh my memory here. But in the early 1900s, I want to say somewhere around the between 1910 and 1920 is when marijuana was considered illegal in the U.S. That was the U.S. in general, but some of the states were still, well, it's legal, blah, 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 blah. And it took a while before they outlawed it. But it was somewhere around the time of the Depression, the Great Depression, is when the U.S. outlawed it and deemed it illegal. And I'll tell you why. And it's not because everybody thinks, oh, they deemed it illegal because it's a drug. I mean, there's a lot of legal drugs that you could get as prescriptions. I think marijuana should be one of them. But it's the reason, some people say, oh, it's because it's a drug. And then some people say, oh, they use the excuse of it's a gateway drug to harder drugs. Oh, it's addictive. But no, I'll tell you why the United States outlawed marijuana. The lumber and the paper industry. They lobbied the U.S. Congress and argued that it's a bad drug and blah, 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 blah. And since around that time in America is when we had an influx of Hispanics or Mexicans coming in from south of the border, and the big lumber and paper industry lobbied saying, oh, that's the people coming from south of the border bringing that in. That's a illegal, well, I don't know if they called them illegal aliens at the time, but that's a drug that they use, and we don't need that in society, and blah, 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 blah. And then they also pinned it on the African Americans, saying, oh, that's a low-class drug, or that's a black person drug. And well, since at the time, most of the U.S. government was wealthy white people, they bought into it. But here's why the paper and lumber industry wanted to make marijuana illegal. Think about it. Well, my bedroom's not that big, but let's just use my bed for example. Right behind me, it's a California king size bed. I think it's like 6 foot wide by 7 foot long. So in that area, you could grow 1, maybe 2 trees. But how much marijuana or cannabis plants can you grow in that space? I know it's more than 2. So, and not only the reason big business, the big business lumber and paper industry was, worried about it because, okay, like I said, you could grow way more marijuana in that space than you can trees. It takes trees much, much longer to mature, to harvest for lumber or paper. as to where marijuana doesn't take very long at all. You know, maybe 1-2 grow seasons. And then you can use hemp to make paper. You can use hemp to make rope. You can use hemp to make clothing. So the cotton industry, lumber, and the paper industry all teamed up together, put their money behind the U.S. Congressman and Senate, and they pushed for marijuana to be illegal. And that's why it's illegal. Now let's talk about all the good things you could do with marijuana. Not just smoking it or whatever. Let's just, like I said, you can make rope out of it, out of the byproduct. You can make paper. You can make, now they're making like a carbon fiber out of it. So, I mean, there are many things you can do with the plant itself besides just smoking the buds. It's a renewable resource. It's a fast-growing resource, and it's a win-win-win. Let's look at it from a medical standpoint. It's good for people with glaucoma and eye problems. It's good for people who have digestive problems. It settles their stomachs and this, that, and the other. It's good for people with MS. I know somebody who has MS, and they partake, and it helps them. It's good for seizures. As a matter of fact, I've tried all kind of pain pills prescribed to me by my doctor for my degenerative disc disease, and none of them help. They did a DNA swab in my mouth. They sent it off to a lab, did a chemical DNA test against all the drugs in the pain field, and none of them will work for me because my body metabolizes and destroys the actual pill faster than it can release the active ingredient into my bloodstream to give me any sort of pain relief. So my doctor told me, in his non-medical opinion, he said, smoke weed. And I told him, Doc, I've never smoked a cigarette before in my life. I've never smoked weed in my life. And I don't intend on doing it unless it ever becomes legal in the United States. Because if my ex-wife found out that I was smoking marijuana, I would never see my son again. So, I rather live in pain and keep my big fat ass out of jail because I like to eat and I just don't want a plain bologna sandwich every day, than to get caught with marijuana, lose the rights to see my kid, and end up in jail. That's just not what I'm looking for, and I'm not signing up for that. Who knows? Maybe after my son turns 18 and goes to college, and he's his own man, and I don't have to worry about the ex-wife, then maybe. I don't know. But, I mean, they could make it into an oil. They could make it into a tea. And there's been records showing that the Chinese and Asian culture has been using cannabis dating back to before Jesus Christ. Let me see if I can pull up that information right quick for you. But it's, I mean, you could use it in an oil, you could use it to cook with. Like I said, you can use it for an oil. Let's see here. Yeah, it's been noted that cannabis dates back to 2727 BC from the Chinese Emperor Shennong, Shennong. So, yeah, people have been using marijuana for damn near 4,000, almost 5,000 years as far as written records go. So, do I think they should make it legal? Yes. I mean, here in the U.S., if they made it legal, I'm sure all your tobacco companies would want to get in on it because they've already got fields. All they'd have to do is rip up some of the tobacco and start planting cannabis. So, with that being said, it would be taxed, which if they made marijuana legal for recreational use, and let's use Marlboro for instance, one of the biggest, Philip Morris owns Marlboro. Let's say if they got into the marijuana game and they started taxing that, I guarantee you, A, it would be overpriced, B, it would be taxed to hell, but that tax could probably wipe out the national deficit. Not only can you save money and gain money from tax revenue if you made it legal, think about this. Look at the people that are behind bars just for marijuana. You would end up getting rid of some inmates, so that's less of a tax burden, so that saves money. Less paperwork for the police, the judges, and the court systems, and lawyers. So all of that money that could be saved right there, on top of gaining money from taxes. I think also it would stop the cartel somewhat, because, I mean, if you don't have the cartel from South American countries smuggling in marijuana, they're gonna, I mean, yeah, they would want to retaliate in some sort of way, and they'd ramp up, I'm sure, like coke or any other kind of opiates that they could sneak into the country, but it would cut them out of the marijuana game. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, it would be a win-win for this country. Now, let's find out why they call it 420 Day. I believe I know why, but I just want to see it. Let's see. It says April 20th is World Weed Day, or 420. It's celebrated by cannabis users in North America as well as worldwide. But why do they call it that? And the reason I believe they call it that, it says that's usually when classes for college were let out, and they would all end up in a dorm room around that time, and they'd little light up, puff, puff, pass. So I think that's why it's called 420 Day. Well, I mean, they call it 420, but they celebrate it on 420. So that's what I believe it is. And in support of that, I got my hashtag J-Rollin', the little handicapped guy with the weed in his mouth. That's one of my shirt designs. Be for sale soon. But no, I mean, I think they should make it legalized for recreational use and have like big business go ahead and produce it, and because it's not illegal to grow your own tobacco. So if you wanted to grow a weed plant in your backyard for your own personal use, hey, go for it. But if you were too lazy and you didn't have a green thumb, buy it from Marlboro. You know what I'm saying? Pay taxes on it, be done with it. I think it'll save the country a lot of money, make the country a lot of money, and it'll help people. Now, I know there's a bunch of different strands that they use for medical purposes. So with that being said, I think that if they ever make it legal, you should still be able to get medical marijuana that is genetically engineered for certain pains and or ailments. And I think then if you have prescription medication insurance for your part of your medical insurance, I think they should pick up part of the tab just like they do any other man-made pain medicine or high blood pressure medicine or whatever. So just because, and I think they should do that because of the fact that if you have an ailment and your doctor prescribes it for you, it should be covered under your prescription drug plan. That's just this guy's opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. There's a subscription button. Click the subscription button and you will be notified and the bell. You'll be notified when I have new content. Also, open up that description box. There are links to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's also a link to this channel's homepage where you can find my older content. I got it all separated by categories, by my different web series, make it easier for you to watch. And as always, tell your ma, tell your pa, tell your greasy grandma, share this video with your family and friends. Like I said, leave me a comment. Type me one, I'll type you one back. Show me yours and I'll show you mine. Thanks again for watching. And if you're one who partakes in a little Mother Nature, herb, cannabis, marijuana, Mary Jane, whatever you decide to call it, if you partake on 420, have a happy 420 day and spark them up. This guy won't because you heard in the video why. Anyway, I wish you a happy 420 day, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, just love one another. Thanks for watching.